Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, the podcast where we talk about how to waste your time and not your money. Let's go on ahead. Ren looks like he's in something here. Let me go ahead.
I'm not going to tell him, but
Hey.
GammerGreggie.
Hey.
Is it spelled wrong?
Yeah.
No, it's the sick Gammer.
There's an extra M, but it's cool. That just means I'm extra special.
Yeah, I'm so stupid.
I saw it on the Instagram promo. I'm like, oh, I'm sure he just did that on the promo.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I didn't do it on basically everything somehow. I'm so
God.
stupid. I did it on literally everything. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh, feels good.
Anyways, welcome to Next to Nothing, the show where we talk about my typos and
the best show.
Yeah, so the show where we talk about my typos and how to waste your time and not your money. I am your host, Danny K, here on twitch.tv/Danny K. I have my co-host, my wonderful, beautiful, handsome co-host, Ren147. What's up?
Hi, I'm Ren.
Oh,
I'm
dear
really good
God.
at Fortnite and stuff, and I'm really fond of games. Let's go, hi, everybody.
We,
Hi.
someone's got to take that shit away from him.
Oh, man,
I think I'm getting to the point where that joke is like kind of worn off now. It's like,
It's too late. It's staying forever.
Teacher, can we confiscate that?
No.
Twitch gods? And we do have a wonderful guest who I apparently can't spell his name. It's GammerGreggie. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? I mean, you can call me GrammarGreggie if we had an. I'm flexible. As long as there's a Greggie involved, we're good. We're good, man.
Oh, man.
Feels good.
And evidently my cat decided he wanted to join the podcast as well. So you guys might hear him. I'm sorry.
Oh,
It's the benefit of doing a live show, I guess.
Oh, man. Gotta throw in that sweet cat sounds.
Yeah, just the like the really
Oh.
low.
Oh,
and
I love
loud. Yeah, just yeah.
Oh, man.
That's exactly what we want.
Oh, I'm so ready.
Oh, so how are you guys doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm having a good day. We already talked about once before, I spent like 4 hours looking for the backs of Xbox 360 controller remotes.
No.
And I couldn't find a single one except for a rechargeable pack, and I don't have the charger. So I'm just dandy.
Damn.
I'm
son.
great. I'm
Damn.
great. Oh,
And
man.
it's not Monday. I mean, that's my main line. You know.
Yeah. See,
True. Fair enough.
I think I talked about this last week. I know I've talked about it recently, but actually Tuesdays are my Mondays now.
Uh-huh.
I work Tuesday through Saturday. Basically, like, exclusively. So my Saturdays, like, my first day off where I can actually relax and not have to do anything are Sundays, and then I also have Mondays off. So Tuesdays are my Mondays, basically. It's like the start of my 5-day work week.
Right.
But before we really get started, Greggie, where can people find you, and what are they going to find when they get there?
All right, so I am a Twitch streamer, twitch.tv/GamerGreggie. I would still say I'm technically a variety streamer, although I'm kind of honing in on first-person shooters. I played BlackOut recently, and I think that's going to be my main jam, so I'm really just watching the calendar until October 12th. But yeah, I have a really good community, a lot of nice people, a lot of regulars, so yeah, stop by, definitely.
Awesome. Well, do we want to get into it? Just talk about what games we've been playing. I know
Dude, I'm ready
you
whenever.
two have a mutual game that you guys can talk about. You want to talk about Call of Duty Blackout?
Sure. I think that, honestly, I think Greggy should probably take reins on that one, because I didn't play a lot, but I did play a little bit of it, and I have some opinions, but, like, aside from that, I'm not, like, super versed.
Well, I mean, I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. And, you know, I think Black Ops 2 was probably the highlight for me. And then the last few just, you know, kind of... And I think that's the general consensus, right? That it was just more of the same, and then things they tweaked just weren't quite as good, that kind of thing. So, you know, I actually had Black Ops 4 pre-ordered. And then I saw the beta of Black Ops 4. I'm like, I don't know. And I actually got Blizzard to cancel my pre-order. And then I saw Blackout. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm gonna pre-order again. This looks good enough that I think I'll at least try it. And yeah, you know, next thing I knew, I couldn't stop playing it. I played all day Saturday. I wanted to play for a little bit. I couldn't stop. I thought I think it's by far the best battle royale game out there. So I'm just super stoked for it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Just real quick, the footage we are watching is from Partially Royal. So you guys can go check him out. Go, follow his stuff. Thank you for the footage as we talk about BlackOut. So
Yeah.
I haven't touched BlackOut at all. So you guys are gonna have to
Yeah, no, for sure. I only played like a few matches, but the gameplay itself was actually really solid. The gunplay was really smooth. I was kind of shocked about it because normally when it comes to betas or such like that, you're kind of expecting something a little rough around the edges. But honestly, this feels like a relatively finished product that's just like needing like buffs and nerfs to certain areas. Like, for example, I know that every single person I've talked to has always complained that the tier 3 armor is too strong. So like in a BR, for example, there's always like a tier system just to like set random ability for like gear and such. And so like armor would be in the same set as like shields for like Fortnite or something like that. A lot of people have been really complaining about like tier 3 armor is too strong. Maybe just like remove it altogether and just like leave it tier 1 and tier 2. But yeah. Oh, do you have?
No, I was gonna say it's probably the better approach than trying to nerf it somewhat. I mean, yeah, it's obviously they have to change the time to kill, because if you can't have your typical Call of Duty time to kill in a BR, or it just wouldn't be fun. You'd have people pepper you with a couple bullets and down you go. But yeah, the tier 3 armor is it's a little too OP to the point where it makes them for some really frustrating battles. But no, honestly, like you said, I mean, it's really, I had more technical glitches with the game crashing out and stuff. But I was surprised at how balanced that was for not having an open beta yet and not getting the feedback. Just how well they did it. And like we were talking before, with compared to PUBG, because PUBG is the 800-pound gorilla of the whole thing, and not counting Fortnite, of course, but more tactical stuff. And there's so many things you didn't realize that PUBG wasn't doing that this game just got right. There's just the responsiveness of picking up stuff and character motions and just consistency and even things they took out, like there's no leaning, but you don't need it because it's got that Call of Duty speed to it. I honestly think that this is it's amazing, and I can't wait to play it when it comes out.
So can you guys real quick just run us through a game of BlackOut? Because somebody was asking, and this was Wretched Wolf, who you guys can check out on his Twitch channel. Thank you for coming on by, Wretched. Does this version of BR play better than Fortnite and PUBG? I'm tired of those play styles. So can you guys just run us through a quick game?
From my experience, it seems like BlackOut is a lot more of an aggressive BR in comparison to PUBG. Not so much in comparison to Fortnite, where there's like a lot of rushing involved, where like you're really playing hyper aggressive. But for the most part, PUBG is really slow. At least that's been my knowledge of it. It's like a really slow BR. So this is like, I would say it's probably closer to Fortnite in terms of speed, but probably not that fast. I don't know. I'm not super sure on that one, but yeah.
You don't have the long drawn out battles because you do have the mobility. In Fortnite, you're quick, but you can have build offs, and then suddenly it's everyone fighting for the high ground and everything. You obviously don't have that in Call of Duty, but no, I mean, you can get really like long protracted battles in PUBG that you just don't have in Call of Duty, because you can. The maps are just. I was afraid when they announced it. I thought, oh, they're going to take a bunch of Call of Duty maps, they're going to plop it in the middle and put some trees in between and call it. And you can tell there was a lot more thought put into it. So whether, especially in the maps, but even out in the open, like there's different lanes that you can kind of move up and rush people. So the maps are faster. So even if your character is not that much faster and it's not a super fast game, the maps can play very fast. And it's a breath of fresh air compared to some of the PUBG stuff. And I doubt you're going to have people hiding out in closets for 20 minutes waiting for you to come by in a house. I mean, the map size is a little smaller to begin with. Even the drop dynamic with the wingsuit, it's easy to pick up on. So it's you don't have like half your team landing in the wrong spot, and you can get to pretty much any area on the map. So the flight line's a little bit less important. So you get a lot of different unexpected hot zones, and it's definitely refreshing compared to either of those games.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally, Like, I haven't really played PUBG. I've played some Fortnite, and the one thing I don't like about it, honestly, is the building aspect. That's just not a thing that I enjoy because I don't like having build-offs and then shooting a wall that they just keep rebuilding, like, 24/7. And because this doesn't have building. Because I'm seeing that Wolf is bringing that up. How is the differences between, like, building and without building? I think it is so much better. The whole concept of building in a COD game in the first place seems weird. So, like, obviously it's not going to stay in there, but with it being a faster paced game and you can't build and like some of the areas are just open and you just have to like fight it out. Like, for example, this area is relatively open. If you have like a decent firefight here, the fight's probably going to go by pretty quickly, would be my assumption. But yeah, I don't know. I'd say it's much better in terms of like the speed and the pacing. That's essentially where I'm at on it.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you had Fortnite's quality with what PUBG was going for.
Right. Yeah.
You know, even simple things like netcode and how your shots are landing. Yeah, no, I can't imagine someone playing it and going, oh man, I wish I was in. I mean, I can see people still like in Fortnite. You know, for me playing it, I'm the same as you. I'm like, all right, so to get good at Fortnite, I have to get good at building, and I just don't want to. I don't
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a whole separate skill set that I don't want. I want to have, you know, sight lines and planning and moving around a map, not go, oh, that guy's out in the open, and next thing you know, he's building a giant tower, and
he's built a base already.
Yeah. There's a giant base, and suddenly I'm the one who's out in the open, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you try to like take out his base, and you get hit by spike trap or something like that, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. There's no, oh, I'm just gonna rush him. It just and you know, I'm not throwing any shade against it. It's just a different kind of game. But I think there's a good chunk of the Fortnite player base who play it because it's a better built game than PUBG, but are really waiting for something like BlackOut to come along.
I have to agree. Because, like, PUBG, I like the concept of PUBG. It's great, but there's been so many issues with the game. There's no point of even really, like... There's a reason why the player base is really, like, dropping. There's a reason for that.
I think it's down to, like, 500,000 now, something like that. I mean, it's really dropped.
The like, for me, when it comes to, like, PUBG... I didn't see anything in PUBG except for some of like the aiming mechanics and stuff like that, and how the guns fired. I didn't see any real difference in like how it felt from like H1Z1, the battle royale in there.
Yeah.
You know, except for the fact that H1Z1 is relegated to like a couple of guns. You know, everyone can find an AR, a pistol, a shotgun, and like an AK or whatever. You know, and that's kind of it. That's like, you know, what, you know, that game is relegated to. But like in how PUBG felt, like in terms of like how it moved, or, you know, how quick the game was and stuff like that, and how the firefights felt, I didn't feel much of a difference.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, at least the way I felt about it is that it felt like it was a faster, cleaner PUBG. Like a lot cleaner, which is saying something considering how many crashes are in it, because it is a beta. And like there's bound to be those. But like, yeah, it feels definitely a lot cleaner and a lot more fun than what PUBG has to offer.
Yeah. Well, and of course, it's a Call of Duty title, so it's going to come with more game modes. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm more excited about, because I'm not even really that much of a VR person. I don't play VRs a lot. I'm more of a multiplayer person. So I'm excited for the multiplayer, and I've seen some gameplay of it, I believe, and it looks fun. It looks like what you would expect out of a Call of Duty game. And they're removing the whole, like, double jumps and, like, super crazy mobility. To my knowledge, that's what's happening.
Yeah, no more jump packs, thank goodness.
Yeah, and I am so excited about that, because the game doesn't need that. No, stop, please.
I'm curious about the future, though, because obviously Battle Royales have taken off, and it's like, you know, what's going to be the dominant game mode in Black Ops? Is it going to be the Blackout mode, or is it going to be your typical, you know, your traditional Call of Duty and the DLCs? You know, I think, especially on PC, it's going to be real interesting. I wonder if there's going to be, you know, something different compared to consoles. Maybe, you know, 'cause obviously PC players are really gravitating towards Battle Royales.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it might vary by platform.
Yeah, and I did witness a little bit of the console play for the VR version, and it looked, I'm going to be honest, it did not look nearly as fun. And because a lot of the looting was, in this one, it's actually fairly quick. In the PC version, it's fairly quick. You can just press a button and bam, you have it. You had to, like, hold the button for each looting item, and it made things really, like, you loot for excessively long periods of time,
Ouch.
and then somebody just shows up with a gun and just kills you, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I got you. All right.
Yeah. And that's tough because for most players, if you're lean over to pick up a gun on a controller and you hear somebody come in the door, you're not as fast in that one regard, compared to a mouse as far as spinning around and
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're probably gonna remove that. I'm assuming they will. That seemed like a pretty just not very well thought out plan in the first place, and they kind of just chucked it in there probably at first just to have it there. But considering that it's not there in the PC version, I'm assuming they're gonna take that out, and it's probably gonna feel a lot better. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious too, to be honest.
Yeah.
I did notice something here in the footage. There seemed to be some like zombies and stuff that they were killing.
Yes.
How does that
Yeah.
like play into it? Like, is there anything like to really worry about with those zombies? Like, do they really affect the game?
I'm going to say no. I mean, it was kind of neat to see them, and they kind of spawn around the zombie loot boxes, keep them with the whole storyline there.
Yeah.
But it never got in the way. It was never, oh, we have to deal with all these zombies, and now we lost track of this team, or we're fighting off zombies, and now we're getting killed from another direction. I thought it was a fun distraction, but it didn't take away from anything. I don't know if it added much either, unless you're just really into Call of Duty and go, oh, yay, zombies are Battle Royale.
Yeah.
But that was my primary concern when I heard about it was, oh no, what are they going to do? But yeah, it doesn't change much.
Because there is a game that does where like PvP is or PvE is as important as PvP, and that's Hunt Showdown.
Yeah.
Where
no, this is definitely not in the same boat where it's not like you really need to focus on PvE. I think there is some bosses, like some zombie bosses that you can kill and they drop loot. But that being said, every person that I've seen play hasn't actually killed any of the bosses. So like I don't know what the loot is dropped and if it's even worth it.
Yeah.
But you can easily just avoid those areas if you're really that worried about it.
Well, I didn't read it before I played. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I didn't read up before I played, and every time I heard the zombie sound, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go the other direction, having no clue that there was a box there that you could get, the ray gun and stuff like that.
Yeah. I don't know. I would not say this is nearly as PvE focused. It does feel more like they just threw zombies in just to have zombies in it.
Okay.
More than anything. It's kind of nice to like see it in close areas where like if a bunch of people drop in an area and there is zombies there, like if somebody tries to kill a zombie, you're gonna call out your position, and it adds that dynamic to the mix. So that's pretty nice. But like a lot of other areas, for example, like graveyards and stuff, it seems whatever, not that big of a deal.
And then there was somebody that asked a question. It goes out to Firebird02. Do you think they should sell a version of COD 4 with only the BlackOut game mode?
I think they did. So I think they did a COD 4 remastered not too long ago, I believe. I think that's what they did.
Or not COD 4, but or maybe they do mean COD 4. Do you mean Call of Duty Modern Warfare, or do you mean Black Ops 4? I guess we can kind of go.
Because I would think with Black Ops, just following their typical playbook. When what was it, Infinite Warfare that came bundled with? They bundled it. They refused to sell it separate until they got every possible sale out of it, and that was that included me. I bought Infinite Warfare because I wanted to play the remaster. Yeah. And then I think once sales trailed off, then they separated it out, and I have a feeling they'll do the exact same thing with BlackOut. I think they'll keep it all bundled together until sales dwindle, and they'll say, "Hey, now for $29.95, you can buy just BlackOut."
Yeah, as much as I'd want it to be like that, where they're sold separately, that's normally how I want my things in the first place. So, for example, if I want to play specifically the multiplayer, but I don't care in the slightest about the VR, I can just go buy the multiplayer. I don't think they'll do that. I think you're completely right. I think they'll wait until they can like get whatever money they can out of it and then split it.
Yeah, and Call of Duty has always been tough like that because, if you don't have all the DLC, you can't get into certain matches, you can't play your friends, it limits what you can do. And I feel like they sell these various versions of it. And, you can buy the DLC separate and you can buy this separate, but you really, to get the proper experience, you can't. The way they have it geared, I think the majority of your Call of Duty fans, they expect to pay the $99.99 every year.
Yeah.
Well, and I think in terms of the the DLC splitting the player base, I think they've kind of learned that, and they've looked at better business better. I use that term loosely in terms of like the loot boxes and stuff. In terms of loot boxes, the loot boxes don't split the player base. into groups that can and can't play certain games. For myself, because I don't know if I'd necessarily want to pick up a COD game for, the other parts of it, TDM and whatever else. I would like to see, maybe if they do a battle royale, on its own, or sell it separate. I wouldn't mind seeing that myself.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, they might actually do that too, so that way they have like a released competitor with PUBG right off the bat. But I don't think they will. There is a chance that happens, but it's a really small chance.
Yeah, it's a snowball's chance.
Yeah, exactly. Because like if they did release, say like just the Blackout for the same price as PUBG, and then they release the multiplayer, like just to combine the price to be like what the $60-$70 title, I could definitely see that being a good idea, because obviously it's a good idea. Like if I want to play multiplayer because I'm not a BR fan, I could just go buy the multiplayer for $30. That being said, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
they do like their money.
Fingers crossed, but I think they're gonna go with the money out.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't blame them either.
Yeah. Oh man.
So like overall, let's say, when is Blackout supposed to come out?
October 12th.
October 12th comes out. $60 release, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So okay, October 12th comes around, $60 release. Based on what you guys have played in the Blackout mode now, would you say it's worth it? And are you gonna get like the $60 of enjoyment out of it?
I think if you like PUBG, but you've been struggling with continuing to play it for some of its flaws, and you're into battle royales, I think it's worth every penny of it. If you're not hung up on battle royale and that just seems like, oh, this might be an interesting game, then no, I don't think you're getting your $60 worth. I mean, you can go pick up a lot of other Call of Duties for cheaper now and get the same experience.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm not a BR fan, so I'm probably not gonna pick this up anytime soon. But I am a fan of the multiplayer, so I probably will just wait until the price drops a bit or until they do a sale. I mean, like, December's coming really soon, and that's usually like the go-to sale of any game ever. So like, even if it drops $10, I might consider picking it up, but I doubt it, at least for me personally. That being said, it doesn't feel like the battle royale is just tacked on. It doesn't feel like it's just a tacked on thing that was like, let's do this to make more money. It actually feels like a solid standalone thing. And I think if you're into battle royales, that should justify it.
Yeah.
Like if you're into the battle royales and you're into COD and you're into the multiplayer, totally justifiable purchase. I'm just into the multiplayer, not really a BR fan, so I'm gonna wait. That's where I'm at it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Someone just asked, you guys both played on PC, right?
Yes.
Do you think the player base would survive for this battle royale? Because
I think so.
As this person who is Wolf again, fairly pointed out that sometimes Call of Duties can struggle with a lasting player base.
They do on PC for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you hop into Black Ops 3 right now, you have one game mode. You have team deathmatch. That's it. Anything else is just 100% unplayable. You can wait in the lobby for 45 minutes. You're not getting a game. Consoles, you can hop into Black Ops 2 even and still have something where you can play it. Yeah. My hope is that the fact that you'll have more PC players buying it because of the Battle Royale carries the rest of the game. So in that way, I'm kind of glad it's all bundled together, because I'm hoping it keeps more PC players engaged.
Yeah, because I've witnessed the multiplayer and the Blackout on PC from other streamers and other friends, and it looks really solid. It looks like a solid title. Though one of the big reasons why COD struggled on PC is because it just didn't work nearly as well as it was supposed to. Like on consoles, it's been well known to be a console game.
Yeah.
Just straight up. If you play console, you probably play Call of Duty.
Right.
But it actually feels like a solid shooter on PC right now. I haven't had any problems with the controls or anything like that. Everything feels the way it should. So yeah, I don't know. I think it'll stay around. I think it'll be fine. I think this probably will be one of the better PC COD titles for sure.
Okay. And then somebody asked, Dr. Dipstick, what is your guys' take on developers taking all the resources from having a campaign and making the BR? For me, that's like kind of like a I don't necessarily care. I played Call of Duty campaigns. They were fine.
Yeah.
But I think selling it as a completely multiplayer game is perfectly fine. I don't think it needs a campaign.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of weird on it. I would like it to have a campaign, sure, but I can totally understand the reason why they're not doing it. It's expensive. We actually talked about this a little bit like before the stream started, but it's expensive. It's really expensive to make something like that. And honestly, they have not been doing that great of a job on their like campaigns in the first place since like Call of Duty 4, like way back when, where it was actually like a really solid single player experience. And everything else since then has like it's been graphically good, but the story sucks. It's just not fun. It's not enjoyable. So like I totally get the reason why they just didn't include that. Why they just decided let's move those resources to something that actually will have use and merit.
Yeah,
so I totally get it.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is, all those anonymous usage statistics that you opt into on your Xbox or your PlayStation, they can probably see, what percentage of Call of Duty players are actually touching the single player. I mean, I've known people that play it. I've never touched it. I haven't played. I mean, actually, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, I played that single player through, and that was it. Ever since it was, new Call of Duty, in the console, here we go, multiplayer, get in the lobby.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling at least for Call of Duty, that's the majority of their player base, and that's just what they're catering to. But if cutting out the single player gets me Blackout, then 110% worth it. I don't feel like paying more for less. If you will.
Yeah, I think that's a worthy swap. To be honest, it makes sense. Honestly, like I'm trying to think of what was it? Black Ops 3? Black Ops 3 had some of the worst campaign I've ever seen in a first-person shooter in my life. So if they're removing that and replacing it with something that's actually good, I'll take it 100%. Yeah.
Well, because aren't like the most like well-regarded campaigns in Call of Duty like MW1, 2, and 3, and then Black Ops 2. I think those are like the games that everyone talks about the campaigns being the best.
Yeah.
Which I mean, being direct sequels, MW1, 2, and 3. I mean, there was a continuous story there.
Yeah.
Which
Modern
makes
Warfare
it
1
better.
and 2 were pretty solid. I didn't hear like the best results from 3. But Modern Warfare 1 and 2 were actually like okay. Modern Warfare 2 is all right. Modern Warfare 1 was really, really good. Like enough to actually justify it as its own, like you can play this as a single player game as an experience, and it's good.
Yeah, I mean, but Call of Duty value proposition wise was never good for that single player because even the good stories were like 6 to 8 hours. And somebody's spending $60 for 6 hours of story that they blow through, and that's it. It's kind of rough.
It's kind of like an overglorified and overly long tutorial. Like it teaches you how to essentially just like you just practice your reflexes in the campaign.
Yeah,
which is fine.
that's definitely what it feels like now for sure. Is that it just feels like it's a really long tutorial. And it's not fun. It's just not. I haven't had any enjoyment with like I finish the single player campaigns of games I play that are multiplayer. I couldn't do it for Black Ops 3. I got maybe a mission in, and I was like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever."
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah,
I did try it. They're like, "No, I'm back to multiplayer."
Yeah, I couldn't handle it. So yeah, I'm glad that they removed it. I wish that they would make something good as a campaign, but that's not going to happen. So like, this is the better alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I stand on that for sure, though.
So from you guys, it seems like it's definitely like pick it up when it comes out. If you are tired of PUBG, you want a polished battle royale with some good shooter mechanics. It sounds like it would be right up for anyone that like that. That's the enjoyment kind of like value you get. You're saying you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Cool.
If you want a cleaner PUBG and also like Call of Duty, there's no reason not to pick this up.
Cool.
Agreed.
Much up.
And hopefully it has enough longevity on PC. I can imagine anyone on console like this would probably last a while.
Yes.
For
yeah,
sure.
for sure. I don't
PC
see any problems
yeah.
with console players. Maybe if like because I mean this is the era where a lot of BRs are being made. If for some crazy reason one comes out that's like spectacular,
Mhm.
maybe this will be kicked out, but I kind of doubt it. To be honest,
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, Call of Duty's biggest image problem with PC is that they've promised for years that, oh yeah, we're really going to cater to PC people this year. And years
never
past, they
happens.
said it and it didn't happen. And this is the
Mhm.
first year where they actually took it seriously. I mean, if you want ultra wide, they've got that. The multi-monitor support, et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is the first year they're actually keeping their word for PC support.
Yeah, that's actually a good note. Is that there was actually a lot of solid PC settings options.
Mhm.
I was a little bit surprised when I
Even simple
started it up.
stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
being
I
able to
was.
see your ping.
Yeah,
No more
yeah.
bars.
Exactly. I was really like content about that. Something I didn't even actually think about, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely me as like a PC player. I love having options. I love it. So just when they were all like, "Here's all of them," I didn't even think about it. I was like, "Good, perfect. You did good,
Yeah.
solid." I didn't think about the whole part where they suck literally every other title about doing that. Oh man, but yeah.
Cool. We've talked quite a bit about that. Probably should kind of move on to some of the other topics. Do we want to go on to what you played, Ren? I didn't play anything this week. I'll talk about the culling, because that just went free to play. I'll talk about that next week.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I played a Hat in Time, and hear me out. It is like a child's game to a degree,
Mhm.
where like it's a lot of colorful colors, and you play as a kid, and then it's like your stereotypical. It's almost like Spyro, in the sense of you just run around and you collect gems and then you do things. That being said, it's shockingly solid as a title itself. I was really impressed. I wasn't expecting it to be the best thing I've played recently, but it's really good. Like it's shockingly a good game if you haven't played any of those recently. It feels like a great homage to just like, oh, we can play. It's like it has the same feeling of like Super Mario 64 or like your Spyro games or anything like that, but it's colorful. The soundtrack is incredible. That was what I was really shocked about. Was like the soundtrack was really, really solid. Enough for me to actually like occasionally listen to sounds from it off of the game itself and like go listen to
Really?
parts of the soundtrack. I was really impressed. So yeah, the gameplay is solid. I didn't have a problem with it. I haven't finished the game yet. I'm planning on actually finishing it tonight. But everything is varied. There's no areas that really feel the same. And everything is also super cute. And if you're looking for something like that, and I really wasn't at the time, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, oh, it's a game that people want me to play for sure. I'll play it. But it has that cuteness to it that's really like it's good. It's really good. I was really happy and really impressed with it. Um, I know that a recent DLC came out and it was for free when I purchased the game. But that being said, I think it might not be free anymore. It might be though. The game itself was like, I believe I bought it on Humble for $18. Super worth $18, 100%. There's a camera mode if you want to like do like camera things, like make your own backgrounds and stuff like that or whatever. But yeah, it felt extremely polished. I was really shocked. I didn't expect it to be nearly as good as what I got at all. I expected it to be like a 7 out of 10, and I definitely rate this to be like a 9 to a 10 out of 10. And yeah, I don't know. I was really impressed. That's basically where I'm at on it. Was I didn't expect much, and then I got a lot more than I even like thought was gonna happen. So yeah, I'm really glad that I picked it up for sure. I think it's definitely worth $18. I don't know what it is at full price. I think it's like 20, but even that, it's super worth it. There's all these. So basically, you play a little girl with a hat, and the girl doesn't have a name, and it's kind of just kept that way throughout the entire game. But all these hats have different powers and stuff. So some hats like can turn you into an ice block, and then it lets you interact with certain other objects. Some of them, for example, one I believe it's called the Dweller hat. It's like a really spooky mask, and if you activate it, you can see things that aren't actually there. But for most of the stuff that's just straight up out in the open. But there's a lot of secrets. So like with the Dweller mask in your hub world, you can look around and you'll find like notes throughout everything.
Hmm.
And it's really cool to just see like all the hidden stuff that's just out in the middle of nowhere. And it starts you off with the immediate like cuteness, because this is the room that you start in. You start in a little tiny room, you just wake up, have a stupid yawn on your face, and then you look to your side and there's just a massive amounts of pillows, and you can't help but just go walk right into it. And I don't know, it's a very cute game, and I was really impressed by what I got with it. It is adorable, I'm gonna be honest.
Everything
And
is
all
just
the
so
areas
cute.
everything, all the areas are just different, and they all have their own different vibe. So there was actually one area where I was playing through it and I didn't expect much. I expected like, oh, it's spooky, but it's like kid spooky. And then it was like, oh, go into the haunted house. And then it was actually like, it could be easily terrifying for people who are like new to horror games. And everybody in the chat was just like, I played this and I was not ready for it. It scared the crap out of me. And I don't know, it has a lot of surprises. There were so many surprises everywhere, and I was just shocked. But yeah, and I'm seeing that it's for $30 normal. I'd say that's a reasonable purchase at $30. I would say if you can pick it up on sale, definitely do. Super worth it. For what I paid at like 17, I am super happy with my purchase, and yeah, I'm really content.
Yeah.
That's basically it. I'm excited to finish it.
I'm curious, how many platforms is this on? Is it just a PC game?
Oh, let me check. I think it's on consoles too. I think it's on pretty much everything.
Yeah, it looks like
But
it would be
I'm
a
not
game that would
super sure.
basically be on anything.
Yeah, I'm checking.
Yeah, that game looks so
PlayStation 4,
cute.
PS4
Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, it's on
Windows.
pretty much everything.
It's even on Macintosh operating systems, guys.
Yeah, that's a shocker.
Wow,
in
Max
itself.
getting in on the gaming action.
Oh man, but yeah, it was one of the games where I didn't expect a lot, and I heard about it, and I heard it was good, but I didn't hear it was amazing. And then I played it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually this is really good. People were underselling it to be hard. So yeah, I think it's super worth it. If you can pick this up on sale, definitely do. If you are willing to throw down $30 for a cute game, this is a good buy. But yeah, I'm really glad that I purchased it for like $8. Really glad, and I think it'll probably go on sale again.
I like the whole hat dynamic. That's really cool.
Yeah, and it's not like you have to go into a menu and swap in. You can actually like quick swap, like on the fly. So if you want to get like really good, and maybe you're like interested in speedrunning or something like that, it's not a chore to do things.
Yeah, and you don't see many platformers like that anymore that are done right, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't feel so much like a platformer as it did like your adventure Spyro title. And it sells itself as a platformer, but it really feels more like you're playing your Super Mario 64 or like Spyro or anything along those lines, where you run around, you collect stuff, and then you look at cool things, and there's secrets everywhere. And it's a nice adventure. That's really what it felt like the entire time. I was just like, this is a fun adventure. I'm having a good time.
I've got to address one thing. They have these little seals and said, I hope you enjoy the quiz, miss. It's so adorable. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. There's a lot of puns
melt.
everywhere. It honestly even felt like, I don't know if you guys played Undertale at all or anything like that, but it felt like I even got some vibes from that. In terms of like its puns and how it like took itself. It didn't take itself really seriously at all.
Yeah.
In terms of like everything around you until maybe like later. I don't know how serious it gets. But
so just like a hard turn.
Yeah, I mean like there's some collectibles that you'll find, and some of them like don't really mean a lot. One of them, for example, is just like how this town became a thing. And another one was the story about how an evil spirit like became an evil spirit, and how he cheated on his wife, and then she locked him up in a basement until he was dead. And then that's it. And it's like, huh? Wait, what? Wasn't I playing a children's game? Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if this is meant for kids. It feels like it. It feels like all the stuff that you could really like. If you're a kid, you would probably just gloss off of it and be like, it's fine.
That's
whatever.
normal.
It's
Yeah.
cool.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
But as an adult, it's like, oh my god, whoa,
yeah, right.
wait,
It's
hold
like
on.
watching like you know, like a Yu-Gi-Oh or a Pokemon or something like
Yeah.
that, right? Like where it's just like, wait, what is this?
Yeah,
Like,
for
how
sure.
how did that not like disturb me as a child?
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I felt it really felt nostalgic, and I was having such a blast just like going through the world and just experiencing it. But yeah, I'm excited to finish it tonight, to be honest. I really am.
Nice. So people can watch you finish that on your stream tonight.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
hopefully. If I don't forget.
if I don't forget.
Oh man,
Cool.
I don't know. I get randomly distracted because it's one of those games where you just like kind of explore and you
Mhm.
just do your thing. And like, sure, there's things that you can go do. But, like, I spent a decent amount of my time last night just exploring and finding things. So yeah, if that doesn't happen, then we're good.
Cool.
That probably will happen though. So we'll see. Oh man, but yeah, super good, super fun.
Cool.
Heavily recommend if you're even like interested in the aesthetic.
Awesome.
And it's colorful. Great.
So good for the people who you know, find it on sale, and he even recommends it if it's
Yeah.
for the $30. Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm just looking at our clock here. I want to kind of keep us moving along.
Mhm.
Do you guys want to talk about this Fallout 76 thing, or we can go on to one of the other topics we have?
We could talk about the Fallout 76 thing. Mostly how I'm disappointed. I'm really, really disappointed. So basically, for those who don't know, a recent article was talking about how Fallout 76 was trying to make their game last forever. And every game that I've ever heard say that has been a flop, and I'm terrified. Because I was really excited about the whole like possibilities and everything about that. And it really like it seemed great. And then you just chucked in like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep this game going forever. For example, I don't like it when games set up a plan that's longer than like a realistic expectancy of like 4 years. When Destiny was like, we're gonna do a 10-year plan and it's gonna be great. People are like, yeah, dude, that sounds amazing. And then Destiny, the first one, I felt was a flop. The second one was even more of a flop. And now they're just like, no, but we made a rule. We're sticking to the 10-year plan. We gotta do it. It's gotta be like, we gotta make it go from trash to good. And it's like, I don't want that experience with Fallout at all. I really don't. I want a relatively polished title, and then they polish more of it. Not like, we're gonna give you like a decent, like a rough around the edges thing, and then we're gonna make it better over time. Because I can really see that happening. And I was really excited, but now I'm really not. Now I'm really just like, well, God damn it. Okay.
No,
Great.
and it never ends well that way because like
Exactly.
No, it never does.
when you're designing a game from the perspective of how long can we drag this out, you know
Yes.
it's not going to end well. Versus we build a game that's just so awesome and people can't get enough, so we're going to figure out how to add more to it. You know, there's just two different approaches. And like you said with Destiny, you know, it's like, oh, you know, this is going to be a big 10-year plan, and you're telling this to people who just got through your entire initial story in 8 hours. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm like, yeah, and that's when they said that about Fallout. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the exact same kind of situation.
Well, I just want to point out a flaw in what I gotta pull up the article real quick and just like
Yeah. No, they did compare it. The reason why they said that it would last forever is because they said that with things like Skyrim and Fallout 4,
and Morrowind, right? Yeah.
people still play a lot of it. And Morrowind too, yeah. That being said, I guarantee the people that played that are just like, they're super hardcore fans. They're not like the people that generally just go and play a game just to play a game.
And those are games that have fan-made expansions, right? There are people who make Skyrim mods that are bigger than the actual fucking game.
Exactly.
So it's like you're talking
there's
about
room to make your own game inside of the game.
Yeah,
and like create it your own.
So
whereas with 76, I don't see that happening as an option with things like, granted, they did say that they were going to release like the workshop with it, and sure, you can probably make your own stuff, but it's an online experience.
Yeah.
So having something go absolutely overboard crazy is probably not very likely to happen. Whereas with something like a single player experience where like, oh, I can turn the dragons in Elder Scrolls into
Thomas
trains.
the Train.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Is that a real mod?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a real mod and it's definitely a thing.
Dude,
But like, the chances of that happening in something that's an online title is so slim that it's just like I don't see it.
For me,
I don't see it happening, and I really don't see it lasting. Look, I came in with the thought of like I'm really excited about Fallout 76. How long is it gonna last? Probably 5 years.
Yeah,
probably. And then they're gonna move on. That's fine. I'm ready for that. But not like, oh, we're gonna make it last forever.
Yeah, I would
It's
be
like, no.
I would be happy if Fallout 76 was just a polished and like bug-free Rust kind of situation, right?
Yeah,
I'd be perfectly fine with that. And like in terms of like making it last forever, I'd be perfectly okay. You just release us into a world, maybe allow like if maybe do some sort of player-made dungeons kind of thing, right? That'd be fine with me too. If you want to make it last forever, open it up to the community. We can do some make some player let players make their own dungeons. Yeah. So I can just throw like Ren in a fucking room with a bunch of fucking super mutants. you know? He's got to fight. He's got to fight one room of super mutants, and then he's got to fight. Without any extra supplies, he's got to fight Deathclaws. Then, you know,
it just seems like such a weird balance that they're trying to make because like they never made the past games with the intention of they're gonna last forever.
Right.
So just like throwing in the whole like, well, the other games did it. So obviously this one's gonna do it. Seems ridiculous.
Well, a lot of that's the gaming community as a whole, though, because we've kind of like when they used to come out with limited edition games, and instead of 50, they were $60, and we kind of showed to publishers that hey, we'll pay the 60 instead of the 50. It's the same thing with these games where people will pay for we doesn't have the title beta on it, but these are games that years ago would not have been released. They would have been called betas, and now they're final titles, and instead of calling it beta, now it's but we'll keep expanding, and then there's always a focus on the expansion versus fixing what's already there, and it's a scary road for Fallout.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm worried about, is that they're going to like start hopping onto the bandwagon of it's not a finished product, and like but we'll still release it as a finished product, and then because we have we made it as we're going to like work on it forever, they can release it as something that's not up to par, and that's what's terrifying to me is like they'll just be like, oh, it's okay-ish, don't worry, we'll release some new content,
and that's fine for free to play, but it's not fine when you're putting paying AAA dollar money on it.
Exactly. Well, with a AAA title, I expect a finished game. That's what it is.
I smell pirates and fish is in fresh seawater is what I'm kind of getting from Fallout 76. If you guys are catching my drift here.
A little Sea of Thieves.
It's gonna be a little Sea of Thievesy.
Yeah, I'm worried.
I don't like. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't like this games as a service model, right? I can understand like games as a service if it's released with a decent amount, but like maybe do like some sort of subscription model, like an old school MMO, maybe, right? And then like do what ESO did and just release like a base version for like $10-$20. So you can get more people in, and then people who do the ESO plus will get all the other dungeons and bullshit and get the free expansions, and then let people buy expansions as they see fit. I don't know what World of Warcraft's whole get up is. I would be fine with seeing 76 do that, like do some sort of base game thing and then just release DLC incrementally and then like offer some sort of plus thing.
Yeah, so like I don't know, I'm on a weird front on that one, because I feel like 76 is the opening of something that they've never really done before, realistically, where they're having a full price game where they host the servers and you don't pay a monthly price and you can play with friends, and it's still supposed to be a good experience even if you play it single player, right? And like with things like Elder Scrolls Online, that's obviously not the expectation. It's meant to be an MMO, but like with something like this, it's meant to be more of like you have a server and then you have a bunch of people join it and then you just do, and that's it. It's not like, oh, we're gonna go do raids, you know what I mean? It's not like you're hunting for gear to like kill the it's I don't know. It's a weird spot, and I feel like because it's such like an innovative thing in comparison to what else they've done, it's going to be one of the things that decides what they do down the road with other titles. And that's what makes it even more scary for me, is like I don't know if I'm gonna buy it on release. I'm not sure. I'm not somebody that pre-orders just because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But now I'm really like, I don't know if I'm gonna buy it like on release. At first I was like, I'm definitely gonna buy it once it comes out for sure.
Well,
But when they start announcing things like this and they start going really over the top with their things, it reminds me of a lot of what's No Man's Sky did, where they just started announcing like crazy things. It's like, yeah, no, we're gonna make this game crazy. You can play with millions of people. It's gonna last forever. It's gonna be great. And like,
they got hammered so hard for all those promises.
Ren,
exactly.
Ren, I don't want to like be too antagonistic here, but I think me and you had a conversation when QuakeCon happened about how I didn't want to feed into any hype. How are you feeling about that now?
Well, I don't mind feeding into the hype. What I do mind is when they start like saying crazy things, and like when they start making over the top promises. Because I don't mind if you think that it's gonna last forever. I don't mind, but like, you can't use that as like one of your marketing things to say to people. Because that sounds really bad. You can think like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna keep this game going for as long as we possibly can. But like, you can't just be like, yes, press, this game is going to last forever.
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Hi, Polygon. Yeah, our game is gonna last forever.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, please.
Yeah, just the comparisons that he had to that. I'm like, this smells like Sea of Thieves. This smells like No Man's Sky. Like, it just stinks of space and this stinks of space and pirates.
Yeah, it feels like it's trying to bite off way more than it can chew, and I don't feel like it's even planning on delivering on that promise. That's the thing. Is like, I don't expect it ever to last forever. Not at all in the slightest. I do expect the 5-year thing still, but it just feels like a really weird thing to just say. Like right off the bat, and that was like the red flag warning of like, this game might not be what you're expecting.
Yeah, but if they don't deliver, does it really last 5 years? I mean, if they pull a No Man's Sky and you get into it,
exactly.
Horrible,
see, that's the thing, is like if they say something like that, then they limit like their entire plan to begin with. It's like how Destiny worked, where they're like, let's have a 10-year program and it's gonna be great. And the first year, everybody ragged on the game because half of the content wasn't available. The other half was, I have an entire opinion about Destiny. The other half was DLC on the disc that you purchased, but you couldn't access later down the road.
No.
And I don't want it to be something like that.
Which was shit that people ragged on, like, what was it, like Street Fighter 4? Like, 4 years prior to that?
Yeah. Exactly. It's just like, I'm worried. I'm very worried, and I'm hesitant, and I want them to be like, what we meant was 5 years. We
I
didn't
sure
say
hope
that.
so. But no, because like even with that, no, not to get off track, but even with Destiny, they had it where once the DLCs came out, they took stuff that was part of the original game, and now they're like, oh no, now you need the DLC to get to what
exactly
to begin with.
Yeah,
and yeah, no, I think for Fallout in particular, I don't think it. If they messed it up as bad as they could, I don't think it has 5 years. I think it drops off and they decided there's a new project. I can tell there's some wishful thinking in your voice, like, oh yeah, all right, not forever, 5 years. Like, come on, please don't mess this up.
I agree 100%. I feel like if they stay with it and they're just all like, yeah, no, it's gonna last forever, I don't think it'll last nearly that long. I mean, like, they even said that Fallout 4 still had like a huge player base. Fallout 4 was like, it started off with like a bang at first, and then people were like, wait, this is nothing like the previous Fallouts. And then the like community just died in an instant. And then it slowly came back as like a game that wasn't like Fallout, but still okay-ish. And like, people have an expectation, and if you don't meet that, people are going to just disappear like that immediately. Yeah,
it almost makes me wonder if in some way that they almost feel like when they say Fallout, they talk about the aesthetic of Fallout games and just like how they can just throw that aesthetic on anything, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's something that's a little concerning, because I think when players or in reviewers talk about Fallout games, they talk about like a very like some, you know, they talk about the aesthetic and the specific mechanics that you know that people really liked in Fallout 3 in New Vegas in terms of the way that the shooter, you know, Fallout's right, because the other Fallout games aren't shooters, they're like tactical games.
Yeah, they're tactical games that are focused on player choice. And you notice like a huge delineation between like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 on that. Where like so many of the choices are fake choices that aren't actually like they don't do anything at all in Fallout 4. And now I'm expecting like it's gotten to the point where now I don't expect like player choice to really matter in Fallout 76 at all. I don't expect it. It's not even like fully intended. But if that's the way that's gonna go, then if they start like doing something crazy, we're like, oh yeah, now we're not gonna like we're just gonna make open world games that are huge and don't really have a lot of content going on. Then I'm gonna be expecting that from every other Fallout game.
Yeah, when does it become something other than Fallout? You know?
Exactly.
Like Dan said, you throw the aesthetic on it, and hey, here you get your Pip-Boy and everything else. But is it Fallout anymore?
Right. Yeah. I 100% agree. Yeah. I'm worried.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
I'm looking at the bones of it. I think the bones so far look good, but I think like we've said over and over again in this conversation, the content has to be there. It can't be a Sea of Thieves where it's just a couple of raids where you go get a nuke.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I said I would actually be really okay with a dedicated server system, you know, and maybe just make it a Rust with a Fallout skin and aesthetic and other like some quests that will have like some actual player choice. I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with the post-apocalyptic survivor where I can build bases, raid Ren, and then me and Ren can go get a nuke and bomb the shit out of Greggie. Like I'd be perfectly fine with that. I'd be perfectly fine with that. I don't think it would actually even be that hard. I think maybe they're overthinking it. But
I just think that when they throw out words like that they can't mean that. They really can't. At least not in the context that like they put out where it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna last forever, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I hope they really don't mean that. I hope they meant like, oh, it's gonna last a long time.
I guess here's a question in terms of like meaning that, right? Okay, so they announced Elder Scrolls 6, or that they're at least working on Elder Scrolls 6. We don't know anything about Elder Scrolls 6, right? But so they talked about how Skyrim is like, you know, people are still playing Skyrim for however fucking old that goddamn game is, right?
Right.
So do you want people to still be playing Skyrim when Elder Scrolls 6 is out? Like, do you not want people to move on?
No, I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I want people to move on. Yeah. I think that the only reason why Elder Scrolls 5 is so popular, in my opinion, is there's no competitor.
Yeah.
There's no competitor that meets that size. That's just like, oh, look, an entire world. The only other competitor is the same company with the Fallout series.
Yeah.
And that's it. Those are the only two things that really meet that realm of like, it's a huge open world and there's a lot of things you could do. There's content everywhere. But you can't just be like, oh, the game has lasted so long because it's amazing. It's like, sure, it's lasted so long because it's good, but it's also because there's literally nothing else on the market to choose. It's like, it's the monopoly that's not just nobody else goes for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's the entire reason of it's the Elder Scrolls series. We can't compete with that. Obviously not.
Well, there may also be like a limited piece of that gamer pie that goes for that sort of game too. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because how many open world fantasy RPGs are there really?
Exactly. I can't think of any off the bat aside from the Elder Scrolls series.
Witcher 3?
There's a huge community of Witcher 3 also. Yeah. It's like
in Dragon Age. I mean, those are the only two I can really think of.
There's not much. There's definitely not much.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of like areas for players to go to choose something like that. Yeah. And I think that's another reason why it stayed so long, along with the mods thing, is because since there's no other options out there, the only other options are mods for the same game.
Yeah, right. To go load up whatever fucking massive that people spent like 3 years, like basically like entire like just dev teams producing a mod for Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly.
With fucking full voice acting and everything, with just as much content.
Exactly. I think that's like the big reason.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because it's amazing and incredible and like, oh my god, it's the best game. I think it's because there's literally no other thing out there to compete with it that's even remotely like competitive enough with it.
Yeah.
The only thing is maybe The Witcher, but even The Witcher and Skyrim are two like entirely different beasts.
I think you get different player bases with those. I don't think
Exactly.
People tomorrow
They're
going, oh, I'm going to play
not-
Witcher now.
Yeah, exactly. They're not like in the same realm. They're close-ish, but they're definitely like, if you played The Witcher, you would understand why the Witcher's community and the Skyrim community aren't exactly the same thing. Because I played them both, and The Witcher's is so narrative focused, like to an obscene amount. And Skyrim is, I have tons of things I can do. And it's like, they both have a ton of stuff, but like, Witcher has a crazy backstory, and everything is like super heavily like talked about, and there's always more to learn.
Yeah.
But like,
well, because the Witcher series is based on a book series, and I mean, there's a Netflix. I mean, you want to talk about how narrative focused it is? There's a Netflix series coming out for The Witcher.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think that's the gist. Is like, I'm worried about Fallout 76. That's pretty much it.
After all that discussion, I don't see Fallout 76 catering to any of those folks.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Neither do I. It feels like really off the ballpark and kind of just out there. I'm excited, but worried. At first, I wasn't nearly as worried. I was like thinking about it. I was like, there's chance for it to fail. Obviously, there's always chance, but like, maybe it won't be that bad. But like now I'm just like, oh god, don't throw out the Destiny words. Don't do it. Don't, please god, no.
Don't worry, by DLC 17 they'll have it all sorted out for you. It'll be fine.
It's the last thing I ever want to hear. Oh my god. By the next game in like $150 of DLC, we'll
I don't mean to keep dropping Destiny. I just remember when they announced Destiny 2 and all the people playing the first are just like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Fix this, add this, what are you doing?
Yeah. Exactly. I don't want
it. At the risk of looking like angry nerds any longer, we should probably go on to the next topic here.
Okay.
Let's see. We can talk about. Let's see. Do you want to talk about? Just do that follow up from last week.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I like how you put it on me. Yeah, okay.
I'll sit back and let you take over this one.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, no, I'll talk. Okay. That's good. I'll get people up to speed. So last week we talked about how that there was going to be a game released on Steam. It was the first uncensored adult game, full sexualization and everything. That was going to be released on Steam, and now it turns out after this kind of got some publicity. It came out that there is this game is going to be restricted in 28 countries due to content. So I'll just kind of read the first bit here. This is from my source on this is PC Gamer. Go support the author Joe Denali, but I'm going to read the first bit to kind of get you guys up to speed. Steam's first uncensored adult game was approved and released last week. Since then, several countries have apparently banned the sexually explicit adventure game. In turn, developer, the game is Negligee Love Stories. I think I pronounced that right. And then its developer, Darker Studios, says this means it cannot release the game under the radar, and its availability has now been restricted in 28 countries. Some of those countries include... actually, this is the full list. I was thinking when I was looking at this list, maybe I was going to do, like Animaniacs, but I'm not going to do that. Japan, Malaysia, Botswana, Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, South Africa, Sudan, Uganda, Bangladesh, China, Lebanon, South Korea, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkmenistan, Belarus, Iceland, Ukraine, Russia, Australia, Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, Guyana, Iraq, UAE, UIE, and Germany.
Yeah, I think we should focus on a few of those names explicitly.
Yeah,
Germany and Australia.
Yeah, Germany Australia
make the least amount of sense possible.
Iceland makes no sense to me either, and neither does Japan.
Yeah,
Like-
I understand Egypt, and I almost kind of understand Japan. They're really super weird about everything they ever
Yeah.
like
True.
do in that area. But like with Egypt, I know there's very strict rules and stuff about that. But with Germany and Australia, that seems like the two most off the wall. Like it's an uncensored adult game.
Yeah.
It's not like crazy. To my knowledge, it's not like the craziest game of all time where like you're doing crazy shit.
Well, I
Like-
will say one thing. The PC Gamer article, they quoted developers saying that they can't censor the game because it would take out 90+% of its content.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, it's we'll call it a rough game in that regard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
no,
Very-
it's
very
more of
graphic,
a.
That also calls into question the like amount of content that might actually be in the game. You know, if
Yeah.
it's 90% of the content that's in the game,
click, 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 click. That's about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It might not be, you know, that fully fleshed of a game, pun fully intended. Yeah. So I
man.
mean, that's just to add to your point there, Greggy. I'm sorry.
That was good.
But it just seems so weird that Germany and Australia are on this list. I understand countries ban certain things like this. I get it. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But like with something like Germany and Australia, it seems really nonsensical. And like it feels more like a publicity thing just because, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like Germany has always been not very like crazy about their uncensored rules. That's never been a thing. Neither is Australia. With things like Egypt and like other certain European countries, I get it. It makes sense. I understand. But like with things like Germany, Australia, it just doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't.
I mean, we
they're
can
so
just
off the wall.
So many of these we can just chalk up to that these countries are run by conservative, theocratic, mostly Muslim majority countries, right? Egypt, Morocco, Nigeria, Sudan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Turkmenistan. I mean, these are all countries that are mostly or that are almost entirely theocratic. Iraq.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
so that makes sense. Like, you know, it's a conservative theocratic government. It's going to censor anything that it sees as immoral and immodest.
Right.
Yeah, you expect that. I mean, you know, if there's a country that has rules against, you know, PDAs, that, you know, to ban this makes sense. But then there's, like you said, like Germany. I don't.
Germany, Iceland, you know, just
I think it's because they called it a game. If it was on autoplay and it was a video, no one would say a word. I think it just because it's the game.
I think you're right. I genuinely do. And that's like the stupidest thing because like, okay, all right. I know friends that play visual novels and I'm not a visual novel person myself. I could care less, but they play visual novels and they really like, they hate the word of calling them video games. And I'm just like, okay, that's kind of strange, but all right. But now I kind of almost get it when it comes to things like this, where it's just like, because it's a video game, it's not allowed. And it's like, why? Why?
Well,
what makes that the reason?
Some of it too, though, like you think about lawmakers, you know, being older generation. Like I know I get it now, even when I talk to older folks. When I say, you know, talk about playing games or streaming or anything like that, you know, they still think of games as Sonic the Hedgehog and played by a 10-year-old. You know,
Exactly.
They don't picture somebody that's in their early 40s or late 30s being heavily into games, and that demographics just shifted up as gamers have grown up, and I think that's what it is. I think you have a lot of you know, policymakers who are just of that generation that don't fully grasp it.
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't know. It's
policymakers
probably just a bigness of rules along with.
I was gonna say I don't want to go too off topic, but you know, I don't want to get too much. But like Facebook, like, you know, Mark Zuckerberg talking there, and the majority of the elected representatives just had no clue what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult for me to, like, as someone, you know, I work in media, I look at the FCC rules and regulations, I look at policies, and some of it makes sense, but then I also look at it, I'm like, but people try to apply those same public broadcasting policy ideas, and they try to apply it to basically what is micro broadcasted content that is video games, right? Yes, it's broadly distributed, but only one person is ever really interacting with that at a time, unless it's streamed on a platform like Twitch or YouTube. In which case, those places have TOSs that prevent, you know, the immoral spread of things, right?
Yeah.
Like, those companies want to look, you know, so it doesn't make sense to me where, and this like kind of gets into my politics, I guess, and my ideology, but it just does not
Bracing
make
myself.
sense. Yeah, it just does not make sense to me where people like look at like take this idea of preventing the spread of something bad like this. You know, so what if you want to claim that it's pornographic content, okay, but you can't you can't stop the distribution of it. You know, the distribution is going to happen anyways. You might as well cash in on the distribution if you really want to like try to prevent people to do it, to view this content, you know. Not that I'm saying I want them to try to cash in on the distribution of pornographic content, but that's still better than them trying to ban it.
Yeah, I've been kind of curious of the backstory behind it. So, if like, you know, Germany and Australia, as to what laws it runs up against that prevents it. You know, kind of like what Ren was saying earlier too. There is something in the back of my mind that's going, you know, I would have no clue about this game if it wasn't for this coverage. So there is kind of a publicity element to it as well.
Exactly. I don't know. It's like it's a mixture of publicity for like the game, obviously, because like people that see that, oh, the game is banned. Oh, that means, oh, I have to play it. It's banned.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously a thing. It's happened before. It's happened with lots of games. But like it also feels oddly enough like in the other way around. Like for example, Germany, that doesn't make a lot of sense that like they banned something like that. And like I don't know, maybe they're trying to appeal to a certain like age group or like age demographic. I don't know how voting works in Germany or like anything like that, but I don't know like how the people feel about these sorts of things. And mostly like older generation. I'm assuming that the younger generations are going to be totally fine with it and they could care less. But like the older generations are in control of that. And they just get to decide what does and does not work. So like if they're just like, well, I mean, we don't like it, so like we're getting rid of it. It seems dumb. It's a video game that shows boobs.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I promise I won't get on my soapbox about this, but I just find it interesting that like nudity, oh no, but like blood, gore, violence, like you're right, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not restrict Killing Floor anywhere.
No.
No.
Yeah,
but titties, anime titties specifically.
That's the thing too. It's cartoons. It's not even like, you know.
Yeah, I think it's just like the rules being vague and the people that are in control of it just like don't care enough. To be honest, they're probably just like, whatever, it's fine, just ban it. It's not that big of a deal. How many boobs are in it? Lots of boobs. Okay, let's. It's a video game.
So kind of going to something that we were talking about a little bit about like how it's publicity. So in the original Steam post, and I'll read directly from here, it actually addresses that question. Was this intentional? Quote, some people have complained because they think we or Steam did this intentionally. But the truth is that that is a crazy idea. First, this all came about when countries started contacting Steam to ban the game from selling in their region. We then contacted our solicitor, who has some dealings with international laws, and began the process of working out what is legal and what is not in restricting the game. The problem we encountered is that the laws in other countries are for distance online selling, distribution, and adult content is very murky, gray, and many countries have made such things illegal, whilst they are rarely enforced. They can be enforced at any time.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Let's see.
That's kind of what I expected, to be honest. And I want to clarify, I don't think that they released it with the intention of it getting banned by lots of places. I think like the ban, because bans are natural. Like that's just a thing that happens in lots of games and lots of titles, and they don't really talk about it. But if it's like we're the first nude game that's gonna get released on Steam, and we got banned by a bunch of countries, like there's no reason not to talk about it, really. Yeah. I don't think that they were just like, let's do it with the sole purpose.
They do talk about some of the laws here. We can go through some of those too. Russia has laws against homosexual content, so I guess that's in here. Japan has laws against uncensored genitalia, which anyone that's ever watched like 30 seconds of hentai knows.
No clue what you're talking about.
That's why tentacles are the thing. Listen, Ren, hentai is
that like
art.
A drink at Starbucks?
Drink at Starbucks.
Germany. Okay, so here's the thing with Germany. This is why I kind of want to talk about this, because we kind of got all riled up about it. Germany has laws against selling to anyone under 18 and requires software to verify age, which Steam does not currently have.
Oh.
That kind of makes sense. that makes sense. I feel like,
Mhm.
to be honest, I feel like that should be a thing that's already. In
But
Steam,
but
though,
Steam's
to
had
be
other
honest.
parts where Steam wants no parts of filtering their own content at all,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
going over it.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Well, I guess,
Um,
and then my question is, why does it ask me for my birthday? Isn't that age verification? Granted, that can be
Yeah.
gamed.
Because
But-
like it doesn't even save that information. So what's realistically the point of that? Like I
Yeah.
feel like, to be honest, it should be saved.
Oh,
And then
I'm pissed
that
whenever I
entire
try.
thing is, one, that entire situation's gone, and two, you can sell in other places.
Yeah.
Ta-da. Ta-da. Like it's a pretty easy solution, I think.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you can sell, maybe, what is it, like, I don't know. I don't know how you would check age verification. If it can just be, yeah, I was born in 1972,
exactly.
and I'm actually
There's like
13.
nothing.
Like, there's, the age verification log seems a little weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did I look at things I wasn't supposed to look at? I just lied about my age,
Yeah. I don't know. That does explain a lot more though about the reason why it's banned in Germany. Because I didn't think it was that reason, to be honest. I didn't fully think. I did partially think that it was like maybe it is like marketing issue and like it's cross seas and things like that. But like I don't know. But that makes a lot more sense. I kind of get it now.
Yeah.
To a degree. To a degree. I understand. I think it's just an easy thing. I would have figured they would have had something in place in Steam already in that area.
Yeah.
It'll come down to popularity. If this game totally takes off and Steam's like, oh, we can make money off of having these in these other countries that would allow it, then you'll have proper age verification that we haven't even thought of how they do it, but they'll do it.
Yeah. I'm curious. Is Australia's thing in there?
No, it doesn't say. Just in this post, please bear all this in mind before taking the discussion to the discussion hub to complain. There is no simple way around this, but people where they have no, it doesn't. Like, I kind of actually do wish that, like, they showed like all the laws, because obviously some of it. Okay, so it has homosexual content and has sexual content. Saudi Arabia doesn't need to be explained then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
honestly, like a good 60% of the entire.
But like
list
Australia, like tell the Australians and the Icelanders. I'm gonna go with the Icelanders. Why you can't get it there?
Now I am thinking that it's probably the same reason as Germany, to be honest, because like it seems relatively like a reasonable thing that like I could see that being a reason why certain companies or certain governments would be like, we need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like it's a really easy thing to just get around. Like you could just easily just implement a tiny feature into Steam and it's like, ta-da.
Yeah, like
You're done.
The age verification thing. Yeah, that just kind of throws me for a loop.
Yeah.
Isn't that it? I mean,
they have to use credit cards though. You're not getting a credit card as a minor to buy the game, right?
Right.
It's not free to play, right? I mean, you have to buy it. So,
Right. Fair enough.
I mean, you can upload mommy and daddy's ID and say, "Hey, this is me. Let me play the game." Like, I don't know how they would implement it. And I'm sure somebody smarter than me has got it figured out already. But
Yeah.
it's an interesting law, and maybe again, it could be a law that wasn't written for this kind of content delivery that's just getting applied to it.
That's
That
what
could
I'm.
be the other thing.
Yeah. That's what I'm, for sure. And I'm sure they're probably not even like super mad that it is applying to this. To be honest, they're probably just like, that's relatively reasonable. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll move on.
I don't think their concern was being in all the countries. I think more the concern, oh no, we can't be in these countries or we'll get the suit out the wazoo. You know?
Well, yeah, because with Steam, if they get sued or if they get actions brought against them, that directly goes to the developer. The developer takes responsibility on Steam's behalf, financially and otherwise. So yeah, that's kind of part of that where it's like, well, we really can't, otherwise we're dead as a studio.
Yeah.
So that part I understand. Like I said, it just feels so weird with some of these countries. Like Papua New Guinea. Well, I guess maybe that has the same thing as Australia. Belarus makes sense because it probably has very similar laws to Russia because Belarus is called Little Russia.
Oh, and Vex is talking about it a little bit in chat. From what I've heard, apparently it's extremely hard to get a game classified as adult in Australia, and apparently has components of rape in it. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. It seems like a really off the wall thing to mention, though. To be honest, I would understand if they were also like, we're not selling in Australia, Germany, things like that. We can announce that.
And again, I'm curious.
Everything else just seems like pretty straightforward, though.
Is that just games? So for like the I don't want to dive into it, but like the rape component or whatever, like is it just games? I mean, does that apply to their movies and television that certain content like that's blocked as well in Australia?
I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a really good question. I would assume movies are probably okay, but I would also assume that everything else is probably not, considering like movies are one of the more like commonplace entertainment mediums.
Right.
So like seeing something like that, it's like, okay, all right, I get it. But
I mean, in other countries, the film industry does get censored. I mean, China censors movies all the time. So
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, they probably weren't even like. I get it. It kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, I think sometimes we forget that games are big. It's
yeah,
it's a huge medium now. So
yeah, for sure.
Doesn't fly under the radar like it used to.
Wouldn't just. Why don't they censor that like part specifically? That's like. I feel like that would be a reasonable option because Australia is the only one that's realistically like complaining about something like that, and it's like, sure, your game is 90% nudity. That's cool, whatever you do, you. But like, I'm assured that your game is not 90% components of rape. Like that's
true.
You could remove that aspect.
Yeah, like ditch the violence aspect and.
Yeah, like I can understand that. I would totally get that. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I think we've kind of covered this. Maybe next week we'll just talk about this in perpetual.
Oh yeah, this will be the thing that we talk about forever.
This will be the thing we talk about forever.
It's not for publicity, honest.
We're going to talk about this as long as Fallout 76 lasts.
Oh well, then you're done by that. You're done before launch. You're done.
Oh man.
Sorry, Ren.
No, it's fine. I get it. It's cool.
Was there anything else we wanted to talk about?
I think that's pretty much it. I'm looking through all of our other topics and nothing else is really sticking out to mind.
Yeah, there wasn't like a lot that really stuck out to me this week. I mean, the Culling went free to play. There's another free to play battle royale that's coming out that Greggie pointed out to us called, Ring of Elysium. That's like extreme skiing, snowboarding battle royale.
Action sports battle royale. Yeah, it's an interesting take to be sure.
Well, didn't Cliffy B try that out before?
Yeah, what happened with that?
Oh no, they shut it down.
I heard its servers are down and everything.
Yeah, no, they shut. That was like their death rattle. It was Boss Key. Boss Key tried to cash in on character shooters, and they tried to cash in on battle royales with a new radical twist. And they. You know what I think really did it for them was probably licensing out Danger Zone.
Couldn't pay the royalties.
Oh man.
Yeah, they couldn't pay the royalties for Danger Zone. I went to the Danger Zone. Right, no. I think they couldn't.
I was singing along with you, but I let you take lead.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think we're getting kind of close to time here, so I think we'll call it good. Firebird did mention Realm Royale. Greggie talked to me a little bit about it before the stream started, but I don't think we have time to talk about it now.
That'd just be more angry nerds. You don't.
Yeah, we don't.
The game is dead.
It's dead.
There you go.
It's gonna be that. Didn't I talk about the Simpsons meme? Stop it! He's already dead.
Oh my god.
All right, so let's go ahead. We're gonna go ahead and do our shameless plugging. We will start with Ren, 147.
Oh hi. Hi.
Where can people find you, and what are they gonna find when they get there?
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv/Ren147. I'm going to be playing some Hat in Time tonight. I'm planning on finishing it and starting up something else tonight. I'm not sure what. I was planning on trying to get the Xbox all set up, and I wanted to play some retro games. But that's not a thing because I can't find the controller parts. So, yeah, we're going to figure something else out. But I play all sorts of games. I play pretty much whatever. It doesn't really matter to me. I love horror games. But But yeah, you can find me at Twitch. You can also find me at Twitter, but it's not worth finding. That'd be at Renegade147, I believe. I think that's right. But yeah, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you.
Awesome. And then our guest of honor, Mr. GammerGreggie. Where can people find you, and what are they going to find when they get there, and anything else you want to plug?
All right, I'm pretty much GammerGreggie with one M. Sorry, I had to give you one more thing. GammerGreggie. I mean, you can type in GammerGreggie. I'm on all the socials and pretty much anywhere you could possibly think to look. But the two most important ones are first and foremost Twitch, so twitch.tv/GammerGreggie, and I stream 6 nights a week from 7 p.m. Eastern till midnight, 1 a.m. depends, Monday through Saturday. And I'm pretty much, since streaming, me watching a calendar, waiting for October 12th isn't entertaining. I'm currently playing a lot of Overwatch, and I mix it up with a little bit of Dauntless and a couple other free-to-play titles as well. And my main social media is Twitter, same thing, at GammerGreggie. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Dude,
Of course, yeah.
This has been a blast.
Oh man.
Things that are coming up on my channel: regular stream schedule tomorrow night 5 p.m., Thursday night 5 p.m. Standard Central Time. Not sure I'll be playing. I might play some Dead by Daylight. I'm not sure yet. Otherwise, guys, follow my Instagram. Let me go ahead and do the socials real quick. There in the chat, it should pop up. Maybe it'll pop up. If you guys want to find us on Twitter, it's at NTNPod. If you guys want to keep up with us, that'll be the place to do it. Otherwise, you can join the Discord or join my follow me on Instagram at DannyK. Down below, for people who are new here, down below are the Apple links and the Spotify links, and I even think the YouTube links to the podcast feed and the archive videos. So if you guys want to watch us or you want to go back and see what we were talking about, you guys can go there, subscribe, follow, listen, share with your friends. It's really easy, simple things to do, so you can do that there. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything really to talk about.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. I think we pretty much covered everything that we possibly can.
I think we have too.
For a slow week, I think we did a great job.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. All right, guys. So that is it from us. Tell your friends. We'll raid into a different talk show here in a minute. And have a great night. And thank you, GammerGreggie, for coming on by this week.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
10 out of 10.
Appreciate it very much.
Bye.
All right.